Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, today I'm going to show you how I make coconut milk, and to be honest, there's really very little difference between doing this or the hemp seed milk like I've shown in another video, or even the almond milk. However, I did get people asking about this, and I figure some people may be specifically looking for coconut milk, and I'm here to show you how to do that. Super easy. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I've got some organic unsweetened coconut flakes, and I'll link to the ones I get below. And I'm going to take my 2-cup measuring cup and fill this up to 1 cup. And depending on how rich you want it, you might want to put a little bit more. I've got a little bit too much in here. There, I don't mind if it's a little heavy, I just don't want to waste the coconut either. And then you're going to take some good healthy water, making sure it's not city tap water that's got chlorine and fluoride in it. This is our own filtered rainwater. All right, now that you've got your coconut in the water, all you have to do is cover it with a cloth. You're just basically soaking it and letting the coconut fully rehydrate. The difference between this and like whole almonds, cashews, and whatever is you don't need to let it soak for 8 hours or more. It just needs at least 15 minutes, but it can soak for a couple hours, whatever works for you. And then when this is done soaking, I'm just going to probably give it 15-20 minutes. I'll be back and show you the next step. Well, I'm ready to move on to the next step with the coconut milk. So let's get to that. All I want to do now is take the coconut and water and just dump it all into my blender. I'm going to go ahead and add more water to this, but I'm going to go ahead and let it blend for about a minute just as it is on high. A couple more, about 2 more cups of water, and let that blend in. And then other options you can do if you want a little bit of flavor or a little bit of sweetness to it is you can add a couple of medjool dates. I don't usually do this, but it is kind of a fun, if you're going to make it for drinking or using in sweet dishes, then adding a couple of these dates will just give it a little bit of sweetness and flavor without it making it too sweet. And these are the medjool dates, the organic ones I get from Amazon. And I want to show you up close. You see that the white forming? That's just the sugar crystals. When you first buy the dates, they won't look like that. But even after vacuum sealing them into jars, they will eventually the sugar begins to leach out of the date and then coat the outside. So if you see it like that, it's still perfectly good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of similar to the way sometimes honey will crystallize. And that is all it is, because dates are very high in a natural sugar. And they're also high in some good minerals too, so that's why I recommend it. But I will link to the dates I use below as well, and then I'll try to vacuum seal this back in. Now, one thing, if you remember a video I did a while back where I was talking about the medjool dates and the foamy at the bottom, yes, they were fermenting and they were very good, but not too fermented, not too strong. And they were just really yummy like that. And I realized that's why I lost the seal, because this one lost the seal too, because they start to, even when they're vacuum sealed in there, they start to ferment when they sit for a long period of time, and then it just pushes the top off. So even with the band on there, it still will loosen the top. And then another nice thing for extra flavor is to add your own homemade vanilla extract. And I found the best way to make it for just a great flavor is using the spiced rum, and then the non-GMO food grade glycerin makes a really tasty vanilla. So go watch that video. I think in that one I was trying it out, and the result was it was excellent. The other note is I do get a lot of people ask me about where I got my vanilla beans. The ones I was buying years ago I stocked up on, thankfully, because they were about a third or a quarter of the price they are now, and now I cannot find them anymore. They're not even available. They were the Frontier brand. I would link to those below if they still had them. They're just not there anymore. So you really got to do some hunting and pecking to see if you can find some at a good price. It's I've looked and I've had a hard time finding anything close to what I paid before. And what happened was, there's a little tidbit, is there was a major bee die-off, and that is why and they were losing their vanilla crops. That is why vanilla has gone sky high in price. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and continue blending this, and then I'll move on again to the next step. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I've got this nice big mesh strainer, and then I'm going to take a piece of my, a clean, I know it doesn't look that clean, it's just that it's been used for grape juice and all kinds of stuff, so it's very stained, but I only use this for food. It's just a piece of cotton fabric. You can also use cheesecloth. And I'm just going to pour my coconut milk through there. Now this, because of the addition of the vanilla and the medjool dates, this isn't going to have as white of an appearance as your typical if you leave all that out, which I usually don't put all this stuff in. I just like to show people that's one option. So, and if you got any stuff on the top, make sure you add that in there because you're going to want to save the pulp. Very important, you save that pulp, do not throw it out. You want to get the most out of your coconut milk as you can to make it most worth your price. Now you'll find, and I talk about this a lot when it comes to making nut milks, that if you do the math, you will find this is far cheaper than buying the box milks, and you're controlling what's going in it. A lot of those box milks, I think they're starting to come out with some that don't have the carrageenan in it, which is nice. But a lot of them have the addition of carrageenan, which is very hard on your gut and really shouldn't be added to your food. And there some of the other ones have other unsavory ingredients that I just find very questionable. The reason they add these things is to give it a thicker consistency. That's the only thing. It's to make it more pleasing to you in thickness. But when you're making this from scratch, you're going to notice it's not going to be that thick. Now, if you want, find your own healthy ways to thicken up your nut milks if you really feel that you got to have a good, really thick consistency. And one way is simply by just not adding so much water. You know, use less water and then you'll end up with a richer milk and it will be thicker as a result. So anyway, I find the best way to strain it, sometimes I'll walk off and just leave it, but still the quickest way is to just kind of keep working the little ball of pulp until all of, you get as much of that liquid out as possible. You know, you really want to get as much as you can because remember, this is all about saving money. And I did the math on it before and I came up with the fact that I could get about a cup of flour and a quart of milk from nut milk, coconut milk, whatever kind it is, and only cost me a total of like $1.27 is what I came up with. And that was figuring almonds in particular. Obviously different nuts are going to cost more, but what's that same quart of milk going to cost in the store? And then you don't get the bonus cup of flour to go with it. Now, after you get it pretty well squeezed out, and again, remember the color of this is going to be different because of the addition of the medjool dates. Otherwise it would be pure white. Now it's kind of a beige, but you should look pretty much like that when you're done squeezing out the liquid. The next thing I want to do is just get a clean quart-sized jar. Regular mouth is best when you're talking about stuff like this because it makes it easier to pour. And then there you go. Now I have nearly a quart, because I didn't use quite 4 cups of water, of some good organic, homemade, very cheap, very easy coconut milk that I can use. This would be great for making a vegan coconut cream pie. I don't know that I've tried it yet with the coconut milk. I really should, and I should do a video on it. And I'll try to remember to do that. And eventually I'm going to try making yogurt with these too. I just haven't had the desire to do it yet, but eventually I will. And then what I'm going to do with this pulp, now one thing you'll notice especially about coconut pulp is it's kind of you can feel that coconut fat in there, which is just really wonderful. And now I'm going to simply take this, and I have a video on how I make almond flour, which is what's in this jar right here. And I'm going to spread this out on a cookie sheet, a stoneware cookie sheet, and I'm going to go put it on my wood stove and let it dehydrate. And then I'm going to process it up again into a flour for using in baking. But I don't need to show you that right now. You can go find that video about the almond flour right here. Alright, so there's the coconut milk and it looks really good. almost a quart. And what you're going to find, because you don't have all that garbage added to the milk like you do the store-bought stuff, is that your milk is naturally going to separate. Well, all you do is shake it up. That's one of the reasons why they add all that stuff to the store-bought milk. It's about making it more pleasing in appearance and texture to you, when really it's not that big a deal. All you got to do is shake it up when it starts to separate before you use it in anything. Now here is the last of the almond flour from the last batch that I made of almond milk, and I used part of this yesterday in a loaf of bread that I made, and it was so good. Now I just used a little bit. It wasn't a gluten-free bread or anything like that. I just supplemented my basic bread recipe, and you can find that you can find a video to that right up here in the recipe. All I did was use this, instead of adding all the seeds, I used about a half cup or so of this in the bread. Oh my goodness, it added such a soft texture, and the bread got very fluffy. I was very surprised. It was so good. So I'm going to be making another loaf of bread today. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make your own coconut milk, and that you'll give it a try. It's so easy and so good for you. Oh, and I took a taste of this, and it's absolutely wonderful. I don't think I could buy it at the store and have it taste that good. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.